What's the weirdest sex act you've ever done alone? I had heard about cock rings, the rubber ones and the plastic/metal ones, and heard they make you harder for longer, so decided to try and improvise one day when my mom and sister went out. I found a metal ring that went on a curtain pole and had a little plastic clip on, so I removed that and got some cooking oil and went into my room, greased up the ring and slid it over my semi-flaccid penis and balls. It felt pretty good, so I grabbed a magazine and started to rub one out. The ring slowly moved further back, restricting blood flow and wedging itself tight against my balls and base of my dick. This thing was tight, and I suppose it was doing its job until after I came and wanted it to slide off. It wouldn't. It was there, right against my purple dick and balls for 30 minutes before Mum came home. I couldn't budge it. I was in pain, so I had to call her. The look of utter horror, disbelief, disgust in her eyes will stay with me forever. By this time my dick was the color number 301,934 and I was in severe pain. My mum immediately called my dad. He drove from work, about 10 minutes, came upstairs, took one look at me, got some Vaseline from the bathroom, which I wish I had known about earlier. He got a thin piece of plastic and put Vaseline on it and slid it under the ring and kind of lavered it a bit. The blood drained and my member subsided. He handed me a towel, ruffled my hair, picked up the ring, shut my bedroom door and went back to work. We never talked about it again. Using a home TNS machine to zap myself to finishing. Every year I help my dad with Christmas lights. I climb up on the roof and carefully clip all of the lights onto the peaks. I grew up in a conservative house and only recently discovered how nice masturbating can be. Did you know that orgasms can help relieve period cramps? Who knew? Well, I have a particular fondness for the cowgirl position with my BF, but it absolutely destroys my knees. Sitting on my knees on a flat, even if it's soft, surface is difficult for me. So here I am, sitting on the warm roof, hanging lights on my house, when my dad walks inside to get something. I'm straddling a roof peak, all alone. The neighborhood is quiet and I can see there's no one outside. I'm at an angle where I can't be seen from the ground anyway. My knees are at the perfect angle to not hurt in this position, and suddenly thoughts of the BF enter my head. I just start rocking back and forth on the peak of my roof. When my dad came back out, I was in a much better mood. Started fingering my ass in like high school, but that wasn't enough. Went to Sharpie markers, but not enough. Had the idea to use a banana, but the bottom end had that hard, kinda sharp end on it. So what did I do? I used sandpaper to file it down to be smooth and an easy glide in. Needless to say, bananas don't last too long going up the ass. I was quite horny in my early teens, so I looked up innovative ways to masturbate. As it seems, if you hollow out a cucumber and microwave it, it does not feel like the inside of a vagina. I was left with the most disgusting vegetable you've ever seen and a memory that lives under the surface of my dignity. Not the act itself, I guess, but the event as a whole. We lived in the sticks, and internet shopping wasn't really a thing back then, not that we had internet anyway. I was a horny but resourceful teenage girl, so I whittled myself a penis-like dildo out of a piece of firewood, sanded it, and varnished it. I was around 14 to 15 at the time. I tested it out once without a condom, and freaked out about the potential toxicity of the varnish. Then used a disposable latex glove because there were no condoms in the house, and the thought of buying them was mortifying. In the end, I was too paranoid about it being found, so I tossed it into the fire the next time the fireplace was lit. When I was in middle school, I ended up in school suspension, where I was essentially locked in a supply closet with a desk in it for a week and a half. The supply closet was connected to the principal's office, but no one really came in to check on me besides at lunchtime when it was mandatory to bring their closet prisoners food. Anyways, that closet turned into my masturbatorium. Very important masturbatory studies and experiments were conducted in my time there. Very scientific and groundbreaking work was headed by myself and my assistant right-hand woman. Great assistant and still with me to this day. Years later, when I was in high school, I returned to speak with the new principal of that middle school about supplies for a club project I was working on. I went into the closet where the desk was to gather a few boxes she prepared for me. Lo and behold, I noticed, for the very first time, a camera trained right on the fucking desk. To this day I have no idea if that camera was there while I was in there. It's the exact same as the rest of the cameras in that school, so I feel like it has been not me, but a dude that was a few years older than me in high school. This dude, Ted, decided that it was a good idea to fuck a Head and Shoulders shampoo bottle while he was in the shower. His dick ended up getting stuck in the bottle and he had to go to the ER to get it removed. Afterward he was forever known as Ted and Shoulders. Shoved a 2x2-inch bath bomb up my ass with plastic wrap still on. I tried to use hand sanitizer as lube once. Don't try it. My grandmother, bless her soul, was the sweetest, most innocent woman you'd ever met. She would stay with us sometimes and help out around the house. One year, for Christmas, she bought me a pack of hankies. Obviously confused, I wanted an explanation. She said to me that I need to use hankies to blow my nose into, instead of all my clothes, because she did the washing and saw all the crusty stains on them. I am sorry, Grandma. I am really sorry. Poured shampoo down my urethra, thinking it would generate some sort of pleasure. Narrator, it did not. I kind of have this fetish where the idea of being experimented on, or being the product of a Frankenstein's monster kind of experiment, is a big turn on. I also have a fetish for being forced to drink liquids. So one day I decided to try combining the two. I set up some spooky green lights in my living room, then take some plastic tubing I have from other hobbies and make myself a siphon, with one end down my throat a little ways, and the other in a big-ass cup of Gatorade sitting on a table above me. May as well hydrate, am I right? I laid down on my back, with a towel under me, and just kind of let the siphon go. It didn't last long. The weight changed so rapidly the tubing pulled the glass over, spilling the like half-gallon of Gatorade all over me and my carpet. I had put towels down, but it was just so much it still soaked through. So here I am, sitting in the middle of my living room, naked, covered in Gatorade like an asshole. It wasn't a highlight of my solo sexual exploits, but it's a good story I don't ever get to tell, lol. Got so horny that I masturbated with a carrot and went to see my then BF with the carrot still inside me, 20 minutes bus ride, just to be greeted by his mom at the door. Nope, the fuck outta there even before entering his place. Honey, your GF stopped by. She left a pickled carrot on the doorstep and ran away. Made a fake vagina with a rubber glove, empty pasta sauce jar, a bath sponge and a rubber band. Then fucked it for weeks as a lonely teenager. This dude is so Italian, he fucked a pasta sauce jar. Dug a penis-size hole in the ground, filled it with packing grease, fucked it. You literally fucked the planet. Nestle has entered the chat. Spent a whole day during school break lazy, in bed, seeing how many times I could ejaculate. The answer for 17-year-old me was 12 times. 44-year-old me has not yet repeated the experiment, but my guess is once. Okay, so a buddy and I that lived together went out drinking one night. Got sloshed and had a great time. We both woke up early the next morning and headed back to the apartment. Now he's a decent cook, so he said he'd whip us up some omelets as hangover food. I was stoked as I felt like shit. So he gives me my plate and we both go to our respective rooms. I get about 3 to 5 bites in and I'm just way too hungover to be eating anything of real substance without risk of throwing it up. Now a weird thing about myself. I'm sure it happens to others, but I get super horny when hungover. I don't understand why, but it happens. Normally I'll beat off and immediately hate myself as the headache from the hangover comes back full force. But this time, instead of beating off like a normal person, I looked at that omelet and thought I bet that would feel amazing. So I, throwing caution to the wind, I fucked that omelet. Just really gave it the business until I finished. Regret and disdain for myself came rushing back to me along with my headache as I threw the omelet away in the trash and crawled into bed to sleep the rest of my hangover away. So TLDR is I fucked an omelet. One time I heated up a 5-layer bean burrito from Taco Bell for about 150 seconds before trying to use it as a fleshlight. I went balls deep and caused first-degree burn on my crotch. Yes, I was a teen when I did this. Yes, I worked at Taco Bell. No, I would not recommend. No, that's not how we made sour cream. Once when I was a young teen I wanted to know what my cum tasted like, but licking it off my hand seemed gross, so I jerked off into a Tostitos registered trademark scoop and then ate it. It would take me years to realize that cum is both salty but not that salty. The part that made me crack up was the trademark symbol at the end of Tostitos. Yellow mustard is not a great lube. Saw a thing in a hentai, decided to try it out, gave myself a UTI and thrush. If you're gonna fuck a bottle, make sure to sterilize it first. I wrote a raunchy message to a girl on my phone but didn't send it. I aimed my erection at the phone and made a deal with my dick that if it could get hard enough to reach the send button, the message would get on its way. And what happened? I sent it and then came and immediately felt regret. So I changed my picture to a photo of China and my username to a bunch of Mandarin nonsense and then spammed her a bunch of Chinese stuff to make her think I was a foreign spammer. I used a soft fishing lure as a dildo and lotion as lube. Got super freaked out after. I was really high and paranoid, so I called poison control thinking I was going to die from the chemicals on the lure. LOL. That customer service rep probably remembers that call every once in a while and cracks up thinking about it. I wanted to make my own fleshlight, so I took the tube out of a roll of toilet paper and dunked the TP into warm water. I then put my dick into this warm mass of wet toilet paper. It felt decent but made such a mess, and the post-nut guilt was something else. I used a wooden sword as a dildo when I was a teenager. And guard. In middle school, I once got a postcard from a girl I was super into. I'm pretty sure it was a generic birthday card. Anyway, I was so excited that I opened the card, cut a hole in the middle and tried to fuck it. Didn't go well, do not recommend. Highly uncomfortable and painful. Do you want to know how I got these scars? I once took a soup spoon up my bum, the handle, with some Vaseline lube on. After I had to throw out the spoon. I just couldn't look at it again the same way. Edit changed the trademarked Vaseline to lube as it was a regular sex lube. Imagine your mom making her prize chicken noodle with it. SMH. Tied my own legs to the bedposts behind my head, but I tied them too tight, so I had to cut myself out with a mechanical pencil on my nightstand. It took about 20, maybe more like 15 minutes. Role-played sex on a Minecraft server. I am going to quit Minecraft. Oh yeah, MR creeper, put it deeper. SSSSSSS. Once when I was a teen I masturbated on horseback. And no, before anyone says anything weird, it wasn't anything bestiality related. I was just always forced to go on horse ride/camping trips with my parents and had to sleep in the front of the horse trailer on a cot, so no privacy, and was in the middle of the woods, so no bathroom or anything. I was really horny that weekend for some reason, and so after we finished our group trail ride I said I was gonna ride more by myself and rode off into the woods. I rubbed one off up on top of the saddle really quickly, then rode back to camp like nothing ever happened. I'm so glad no one happened to come by. Hormones as a teen are insane. That horse was probably like, WTF she doing up there, and why am I having to stand here like this in the middle of nowhere? LOL. One time when I was like 11 my PS2 controller glitched out and it just vibrated non-stop. That's all I'll say. And the rest is history. When I was a kid I had the thought, if I could jerk off but keep the cum in me, would it feel good for longer? So I put scotch tape over my pee hole and went to town. Suffice to say it was very painful and I have a bit of a lasting trauma. Would not recommend. I just imagine the cartoons where someone sticks their finger in the barrel of a gun and the barrel peels back and explodes. At age 8 on vacation in Spain with my family, I made love to a Smarties tube. Got my penis stuck and then my brother busted me. He still call me MR Smarties sometimes. I'm 26, got my penis stuck and then my brother busted me. Damn, I misread that part at first. PIV. Penis in vacuum. I was going through puberty. I like to imagine you were just fucking the bag. I really try to imagine nothing, but you do you, I guess. Fucked a cabbage. Made coleslaw. Creamed cabbage. Trouserkraut. Kok choy. Fucked myself with a shampoo bottle on FaceTime with my ex, with my dead hands. I have a neurological condition, flailing about uncontrollably, was horny, in retrospect not the sexiest I've ever looked. A friend of mine, no, really, loves to tell the story of when he was a young horny teenager, and his mom had left a tuna fish sandwich for him after mowing the lawn. It was sitting on the counter, fresh, not cold, and he was inspired by the smell to take it into the bathroom where he literally fucked the tuna sandwich. Mortified by what he had done, he flushed it down the toilet and ate a bag of chips. It's his proudest, saddest moment as a kid. Either inserting a popsicle into my ass, because I have a fetish for inserting really cold things inside me, and I've done it with ice cubes before, or squirting shampoo into my ass because I thought maybe it would feel like someone coming inside me, and, being a virgin at the time, I wanted to know what it was like. It was nothing like someone coming inside of me, and I would like to add that I do not recommend squirting shampoo anywhere inside of your body. Ever. Make fuck to the couch cushions, in between the crevice. On a long and boring car trip to Colorado with my grandparents and aunt, my grandfather was driving and my grandmother was in the passenger seat. My aunt was in the back seat with me, chatting animatedly with grandma. 13-year-old me was extremely bored horny. I had a blanket and tented it over me in a way that made any visibility of motions impossible. So I went to work with quiet intent. As I was about to finish, I noticed everyone got quiet in the car, which shook me from my silent revelry. I looked over to see my aunt, looking at me, with an odd look on her face. Queen's Another One Bites the Dust was playing on the radio. Apparently the blanket had slid somewhat, revealing my angry meat rocket in full launch mode, but only visible from her perspective. She didn't say a word, thankfully, but before I could even cover myself, Grandma said, "Everything okay back there?" At that moment, confused and in shock, I nutted all over the inside of the blanket, spewing to the sound of the beat. My aunt and I never spoke of this, but I couldn't look her in the eyes for a few years. Sorry. Tried to suck my own dick. Managed to get the head in my mouth. Did not feel like a blowjob, hurt my back. 2 tenths do not recommend.